Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got Tran back in the building. We're going to get his the aftermath thoughts from Tran, and we're going to get into our West Virginia prep as we travel to Morgantown to keep our bowl eligibility dreams alive and all the rah rah, right, that the program can muster. But in all seriousness, we still have two football games left in the season. We're always thankful for the opportunity to watch our team play football, no matter how upset we are, no matter how disappointing the season is, all of those things. But before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsor, BUSR. BUSR, who never lets us down, the official sponsor, sportsbook betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Just want to give a quick thank you to BSR for hosting and sponsoring our contest with our winners, Dustin and Ben. Really great to have them out there at DKR. Unfortunately, it was while we were taking a historic loss, but fun time nonetheless hanging out with Dustin and Ben. So shout out to our contest winners. We will be having more contests. Please, please, please hit up busr.com/fanatic sports 100 FP promo, 100% matching on free play. You got to do it within 24 hours to really take advantage and get it all matched. There is another contest coming for Thanksgiving. Details to come there, as well as we all know Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter fight this weekend. So tons of prop bets going on. I will have some boxing content coming. Huge, huge, huge fight this Saturday night. Tran, last Saturday night, I want to get into the closing thoughts. And I don't think the people have heard from you. We have the Orange Flame Inferno here. Because that's what it feels like right now. I think overall as a program, not just you or anybody else, but just overall, man. So where's your head at, brother?
Well, first I want to touch on the fact that I told you I repressed the memory of November 13th, so I don't want to ever think of it again. But aside from that, the things I saw is like it made me hurt for the people, for the players that want to be there on the field. I mean, you could absolutely see it on the field. Like you saw Roshan Johnson, who wasn't even supposed to be playing, dragged himself out there. And Bijan, your heart breaks for him. Joshua Thompson. I mean, him going down with it. Was it a broken leg?
Some sort of fracture.
Yeah, fracture.
He's gone. Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. I mean, it's a sad loss. It shouldn't have been that way. I disagreed with quite a few things that the coaching staff did, like situational football, which I didn't think we'd fall into with this staff. I know, deep down inside, both you and I thought that actually was a possibility of happening, and even two of our friends didn't go to the game because of that fact, and that nightmare actually happened. I'm speechless, honestly. I've now witnessed in my lifetime 2 losses to Kansas, and almost a third loss where we had to win by a field goal at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that was the last nail in the coffin for Charlie Strong, for his job was losing to Kansas. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying, hey, we need to fire Steve Sarkisian, because actually after the next day Monday when he did his presser, I really liked what he said. He said, we're a couple plays away from being 8-2. With that said, we'd still be a bad team. He goes, winning sometimes covers the fact that you're not a good team, but there's still those issues there. And we're trying to work those out and trying to get the people here that is going to turn us into a strength, our weaknesses into a strength. So, we couldn't win on third down. We couldn't tackle in space. We were giving up big passes. down the sideline, and this is to a backup quarterback.
Right.
It's a little frustrating because I know the talent that's on the field, and they're doing themselves a disservice. So I know all last week was the breakdown of Bo Davis saying get in the portal, get in the portal. These kids aren't going to go anywhere. They don't have good tape out there to actually get to a place. Someone's going to say that, like, yeah, we're good. We're good over here. We'll find someone else. So if you're not actually putting I know not everyone's dream or end game is the NFL, but a lot of these young men's dream is the NFL. That's the reason why we're not getting drafted high, is because we're putting out tape like this constantly over and over and over again. And to tell you the truth, I don't think we have those superstar studs that will get drafted in the 4th round and then just shock everyone. Like, where did he come from? So you're negatively affecting yourself for the long term too. And it really hurts me for someone who wants to win like Roshan, who I'll always be a fan of his. Just how he's fought through injuries, and he played well even in the sparing time that he did play. He was excited after it once we got into overtime. You remember he was the one who started pumping up the crowd. It wasn't like everyone else on the sideline just standing there. So I don't know what our mindset or our headset is going to be going into Morgantown, but I know we're going to be seeing their best. I don't care about what their record is. Every Big 12 team this year wants to scream at SEC to us, and of course it's going to happen. It's going to be such an original thing from the fans. So we'll see what team we're going to play.
It's interesting you say that, because I feel like the last few teams we've played in the Big 12, after they've played us, they've gone and laid an egg the following week. Because they get up for Texas so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even Baylor, who had a big win against Oklahoma, they lost after they played us. Iowa State lost after they played us. So, like, a lot of these teams, I'm not saying, we're some juggernaut that they're just loading
that
up
we
for.
just that we just weakened them. That we weakened them for that week before. Come on now.
No. It's just interesting, right? Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, like the West Virginia team that really got dealt with in Manhattan by Kansas State. Kansas State was up, I think, 24-3 for late in that game, and that's not the West Virginia team I expect to see when we go to Morgantown. That just really kind of got bullied. They're gonna bring it to us, and I'm curious. And my cousin went to school up there and was an athlete at West Virginia. And I know some people up in that neck of the woods. I already know Neil Brown and that crew. They're saying in Texas this season. Let's end it right now, right? And it's sad that we're having this conversation. It's sad that we're having conversations on Twitter. I made the comment that we are now in the neck of the woods of the Tennessees and the Nebraskas. If you want to add Florida State and USC into there. And I know people said, hey, Steve, you can't. That's not fair, because we have more resources and we have a more solid recruiting base. That actually is all the more reason why we should be even more frustrated, right? Because at least that means those schools have an excuse. If you're going to play it that way, then what the hell is Texas's excuse, right? If we can just flip a switch and say, oh, well, Texas high school football is fertile recruiting ground, which I agree it is, and there's always talent there, that hasn't always squarely been the issue for us. I think some years we've squandered the talent. I think some years, like this year, we've overrated the talent. And I think there's other years where we've had just poor coaching, right? Where we do kind of have things together, and sometimes coaching can pull out some wins. Regardless, we've gotten in our own way as a school to the point where we are no longer I mean, we are no longer at the forefront of the precipice of being in any of these discussions. That's the point. Tran, growing up, Tennessee used to be primetime matchup. When we grew
Mm-hmm.
up, Tennessee, Bama, people weren't tuning in to see Bama per se. They were tuning in to see Tennessee and Peyton Manning and Peerless Price and Jamal Lewis. Okay, that's not what Tennessee is today, and we know that's not what Texas is today. Right now, we need to talk about how dominant Nebraska used to be. Now, Florida State and USC, at least they can say more recently they've had some bumps there where they've been good. You know, USC has won the Pac-12. They had a decent run with Sam Darnold, and obviously Florida State under Jimbo Fisher won the national championship with Jameis Winston. That hasn't that you know that was what 2013, 2014
Mm-hmm.
ish time frame. So it hasn't been super long time, as long as Texas or whatever. But all these programs are down. That's the point. I'm not going to get into semantics of where recruits are coming from versus where they're not. The point is these areas are down, right? And so now we're having a conversation about an 11 a.m. game in Morgantown with the Texas Longhorns fighting for bowl eligibility to stay alive, not even to get bowl eligible, right? Because they got to win 2 games to get bowl eligible. Same thing with West Virginia. They're both 4-6. So we have to just be mindful of that. And to your point this week with Sark, a lot of the conversation has now also turned to, and that's why I said what to make of the rest of the season. Tran, I'm gonna ask this question to you before we really start diving into West Virginia. For the rest of the season, big picture, what are you if you're the coaching staff right now? Let's assume that, I'm gonna even say PK's still here. Let's assume they hold the staff together because I know Sark wants to run it back. There'll probably be some minor changes on the staff, but if you, let's assume you're Sark, you want to run it back. What are you looking to see? What are you looking to get from your team these last couple games?
Looking to get the negative attrition out. You're looking to see who wants to be here, who doesn't want to be here. You're evaluating what pieces you have to work around for next year. Because if we lose this weekend, it's early off season for us, and that's where you need to focus is creating a team that will be better and you could build with. And I mean, it's so late in the season. You already know what you're working with this current team. If not, you're not really doing your evaluation through practice or anything like that. So yeah, you just got to focus on next year on what's going to make your team better and more successful for next year.
And I think with that also, I mean, if we go deeper into that, right? I'm gonna start with the quarterback position. We now know Casey Thompson is outright the starter. Hudson Card got some opportunities, didn't seize the opportunity, and then played poorly in at the end of the second half against Kansas. Casey Thompson admirably fights, ends up with a gajillion touchdowns and almost wills the team to victory, right? So it's Casey's job. And this Texas season, Tran, it's going to be a weird one statistically because Casey Thompson right now has an opportunity probably to end up with, like, if you look at his total touchdowns, he has 23 passing touchdowns, 4 on the ground. He has 27 touchdowns on the season. And he has an opportunity to end up with well over 30 touchdowns. He could potentially end up with over 30 touchdowns passing. And this team is a 5-7, 4-8 team, right? Like, the stats are going to be weird. You're going to see Bijan Robinson over 1,000 yards rushing. You're going to see Xavier Worthy over 1,000 yards receiving. And I feel like, how we do these dives like 5-10 years after the fact, and you're like, oh, that player or that season was underrated. Like, I remember 6 years ago, like John Harris had 1,000 yards, and it's like, oh, why don't we talk about the year that John Harris had 1,000 yards? I think it was like Charlie Strong's first season, right? These weird statistical things that happen. And this is going to be one of those years where we look back on the offense. The defensive stats aren't great, but on offense, where we're like, wait a second, we had a quarterback over 30 touchdowns that didn't even start all the games, a runner over 1,000, and a receiver over 1,000. So that's a testament to Sark's in his scheme and what he can do. But it's also a sign of that's still not good enough. Hollow numbers, right? Empty calories, however you want to phrase it, right? And that's no disrespect to Casey, to Bijan, or to Xavier Worthy. We know those guys are fighting, right? Those aren't the people we're talking about when Tran refers to things like negative attrition or people not wanting it. Those aren't the players we're talking about. But I do think from an evaluation standpoint,
You will never tell me that Xavier Worthy does not want it after watching that game. He'll never.
Right. Those aren't the people we're talking about. But I will say this, in terms of Casey Thompson, a lot of people are asking me like, hey, we just automatically ride with Casey into 2022. And here's where I'm at. I think these next two games, I want to see more, right? I want to see, because we've seen a lot of good from Casey Thompson. We've seen some growth from Casey Thompson. We also have to understand this was majority of these games this year. I know we know Hudson Card opened the season starter, but a majority of these games this year were Casey Thompson's first starts, first chance to see himself play against defenses that were adjusting to his tendencies. First time playing where he had to deal with injury, deal with adversity, deal with offensive line inconsistencies, deal with receivers struggling and all of those things, right? So we have to keep that into account and assume that another year with Sark, another off season where, because I'll tell you this, I think you got to play it one of two ways, depending on if you're Sark, what you see. I'm team, I want another quarterback from the portal on top of whatever I'm bringing in with Malik Murphy. That's just for competition purposes and wanting to maximize that position. But let's say that they don't get another quarterback from the portal. I think if you're Steve Sarkisian, you have to go into the offseason saying from jump Casey Thompson's the outright starter. There's not going to be a quarterback competition. And you go all in on Casey.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, hey, we're still developing Hudson Card because Hudson Card right now is only a freshman, eligibility wise. So there's nothing wrong with one more year of that guy. You develop Hudson Card in his sophomore year. He still has 2 more years to play if he, assuming he can get to that point. And you develop Charles Wright, you develop Malik Murphy, and whoever else is here. But the reps can't be divvied up. The team can't be confused. We can't be doing this for Casey and doing this for Hudson. I think in the offseason, you go all in with Casey Thompson is our starting quarterback. That's who we're running this offense through. That's who we're building the offense around. And we are going to assume that he is only going to continue to ascend because all quarterbacks should theoretically get better with more snaps and experience that Casey's gotten this year. So I'm starting there because to me, that's a really big piece. I can supplement some of the offensive line challenges with the portal. There's already some good offensive linemen hitting the portal as we speak, right? I can supplement receiver. We know we got some ballers coming in, hopefully that we have a chance to get in 2022. There's always going to be some dynamic receivers in the portal. Just got to go win those battles. So there's certain positions we can supplement. I think the one where it's going to be interesting is that quarterback breakdown around whether or not Sark goes all in on Casey Thompson in the offseason. And I think these next 2 games will matter, win or lose. He's got to play well. Got to play well on the road, right? And I think the people that are very, very supportive, we're all supportive of Casey Thompson. He's our starting quarterback. But the people that were Team Casey from jump would agree that, yeah, we want to see him play well under, on the road and go out there and ball and finish the season strong, especially with no Bijan Robinson. This is a great opportunity to show, we know Roshan's going to ball. Keelan's coming back from contact tracing.
Oh, I
This
thought
is
it was
a great opportunity
concussion
for KP to
protocol.
show his worth.
Yeah, definitely. Casey, I'm hoping the best this week. He was definitely the best quarterback that we had on the field last week. Shouldn't have been playing musical chairs without him. With him, you got to give him you definitely have to give him the confidence in saying, this is your job. We're going to ride with you. If you have a negative thing, If you have a negative play, have a short-term memory and turn it around. So
The other thing too that I want to touch on, because a lot of people focus a lot of attention on the 33 number that Steve Sarkisian mentioned in the press conference, and about, hey, 20, potentially 25 scholarship, freshman, whatever, 8 transfer, whatever the number breakdown is. And that number didn't sound crazy to me when you really break it down. I think we already have 22 guys committed for 2022.
yeah,
I don't even really want to get into that right now, since we're still in ball. But I will say this. Expectations are going to be interesting from our fan base if we don't make it to a bowl game. If the season ends after Kansas State and we're either 4-8 or 5-7, and we don't make it to a bowl game, I believe expectations are going to be really fascinating heading into the offseason. Here's why I say this. One of the things that Tom Herman was so good at was winning bowl games.
mm-hmm.
And because he was, 4-0 in bowl games, correct, at Texas? What does that mean, Tran? That means every offseason we gassing up. Because when you finish with, I don't care what, every program goes through this. When you win a bowl game, all of a sudden you're feeling good, right? Like that's the last piece of evidence we saw. In our last couple bowl games,
Every bowl game we were in with Tom Herman, we smoked every single team. It wasn't
and
even
we
close.
felt like that.
Yeah.
We felt like that would carry over to the
next
following season. Every time. And in 2 cases, we beat a good Georgia team, beat a good Utah team. Colorado wasn't good, but we were like, wow, look at what Casey Thompson did. Look at what Bijan Robinson did. Look at how the offensive line is blocking. That's why the expectations were so high. And was it fool's? And looking back at it, were all of those games, those moments, was that all fool's gold in terms of gassing those expectations up more? And I'm just curious, and this is a question I have for people in the comments. I don't have an answer for this. I'm just thinking about this out loud. If we don't go to a bowl game, how do our expectations differ from previous seasons when we had those turn-up bowl games in the Alamo Bowl and what have you?
I think we should make a rule where we shouldn't have those expectations and let them prove it to us. I mean, we've been burnt so many times that
we should. Bowl games.
Yeah.
Bro, we get in the bowl, we turn up. Remember we turned up on Utah? And
every team. You're forgetting Missouri, who was the highest scoring SEC team that year that we played them, and we held them to 16 points. So
West Virginia.
Let's do it.
They're also 4-6. They got worked last week by Kansas State in Manhattan. Really interesting season because they've had these, they were right there with OU, went down to a field goal. I believe that game was in Norman. They beat Virginia Tech. Justin Fuente has now been fired at Virginia Tech. But they lost to Maryland. They've just been all over the place all year. But one thing we know is Letty Brown's still running the football. Daigie's still throwing for a lot of yards. Now he also throws for a lot of interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a balanced attack in terms of picking up yardage. Now, they're a team that also gets in their own way. And they also do a lot of dumb stuff like we can do sometimes too. So I think it's going to be interesting, though. But this is a team that played very well against Iowa State when Iowa State came there. And I believe that's the type of West Virginia team and the energy that we'll get as they try to end our season when we get to Morgantown on Saturday.
I agree. Their offense, they can hurt us where our defense is weakest, and that's on the edges. Letty Brown's a legit NFL prospect. He'll be able to break tackles. We miss a lot of tackles. He'll be able to get yards after contact. I think he's an 800-yard rusher this year. I can expect him to be around 100 yards this game against us because that's all we do is we give up 200 yards rushing every single game. hopefully we can make Daggy pay. He is a little careless with the ball. Hopefully we could be opportunistic, get some interceptions. But I know you keep on saying that. Hey, let's ruin their season. We have a lot to play for. We have a bowl game to play for the seniors who have been there, struggled, seen the turnaround, and then hopefully they don't have to come back to a non-bowl season. But we could shut their season down too. We should come in with that
At
same
home.
energy, at their own home. And this is a team that hates us. Like they legit do some little baby stuff where they like turn our flag. You know how everyone has every Big 12 team's flag? They'll turn ours upside down so they could see the horns down. We're going to be dealing with that. And come in with that energy. I want to see what type of pride you have. Like, just come in, play, because we could. I feel deep down inside that we could play with any team in the Big 12.
I know we've shown that.
Yeah, we've shown that.
Right.
Except for
We
Iowa
just
State.
don't
Iowa
do
State
it.
smacked us in the face, but we haven't proven it. I want to prove it this week. We have our backs against the wall. Stop. No one's going to feel sorry for us. They're just going to sit there and laugh at us for us losing to Kansas again. And if we do this, you're going to be a laughing stock again, so that you're missing a bowl game. Go out, play, and execute. That's all you have to do. One game.
Shane, you raised the point about pride. And one of the things I've been big on, and you mentioned it off top, about even the transfer portal. So let's touch on a couple different things. You talked about dudes, because that's my same energy too, and I think I may have touched on that during the live after the game. Like at some point, like, bro, you talking about you gonna jump in the portal? What's your film looking like? That resonates when you said that. Tran resonates with me. I think the other thing too is just personal pride, right? At this point, for yourselves, whether you're playing at Texas next year or not, and I'm not even talking about just transfer portal. I'm talking about guys that are moving on, where this is their last year. And not everybody on the team. I know some of you guys are going to say, well, why should they even play for the older guys? These older guys have had poor leadership, all this type of stuff. There's nothing, bump those guys. Well, you know what? There's some older guys on this team that do give a shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to jump on Brendan Schooler about last week. He played a very good football game, all things considered. Yes, he had some missed tackles. Yes, he dropped the interception that could have sealed the game. All those things. But he played with a lot of heart, and he was prepared. He made tight ends pay when he had an opportunity. He played good safety play. He had good safety play overall, and he graded out. I think he was our highest graded defender on the team.
So my real quick, my comment to that is, I have been guilty to say that, oh man, that he really sucked on that play. Go back and watch the film again. A lot of the times, safety or a cornerback are covering up for someone else's mistakes. So he may have been out of position because he wasn't supposed to be there, but he was trying to save face for else. So take it with a grain of salt on someone getting burnt deep, because it might not always be his fault.
No. And so but some of these guys, right? So Schooley, Darian Dunn's going to get a start. I know he's technically a senior. I don't know if he has another year. Somebody can hit me in the comments if he gets another year or whatever. But
he has another year because last year didn't count.
Okay. So, but there's, assuming maybe he's back. I don't know. But I know like this is Tope's last run. And I'm so proud of Tope for his maturation and development and showing how serious he is. There's people here. Tope was there the last time they didn't go to a bowl. Right? Like, I want that for him. I mean, we've been able to become friends behind the scenes. There's no secret about that. And really happy for that brother with how hard he's working. I know how hard he's working. But not even just him. Cade Brewer. Wanted for Cade Brewer. Cade Brewer's fighting hard. Derek Kerstadter's fighting hard. There's some people on the team that are doing – I mean, Cade Brewer caught the touchdown and got us to overtime. And I was there. We were there in the game. What did I say?
He looked like Kay Brewer from Lake Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I said we needed somebody once people started really, really going down. My contested catch guys are going to have to be the tight ends. And Kay Brewer stepped up in that regard. So there's some guys on the team where I'm like, I would like to see them get that opportunity to finish their season with a bowl game. But does the whole team deserve to go to a bowl game? No. No. Not the I've addressed the people who, and I may be forgetting others. I'm not trying to exclude people or
You're forgetting a couple others that I could think off the top of my head.
But my point is this.
Yeah.
My point is this. Judgment Day is coming. and Steve Sarkisian is coming, and he ain't playing anymore after this season. He's gathering data. Judgment Day is coming, and we about to flip this thing in the offseason.
I hope it's like a Hard Knocks where it's like bring your iPad to coach's office, and they put it on the Longhorn network. I'm sorry, that's me.
They can't do that with people. I know people have said, it would be a bad taste to try to rip people's scholarships away or things like that. Look,
this is a business. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and some of y'all can't. Some of you brothers can't be delusional anymore. I'm telling players, if you don't want to, if you're not trying to win and you're not down the culture shift, go somewhere else, bro. Or if you're one of those guys who's still like if you still can't get on the field at this point, and you're over there because there's always that guy. There's always guys like this on every team. We both have played football at some level. There's always the guys on the sideline who are like, "Coach don't like me, bruh. Blah blah blah. Woo woo. If I went to this school, I would be playing. Blah blah blah." Go.
The transfer portal is for you.
That's what it's for, right? Yeah. And so there's always going to be those people there that are delusional. But at this point, they were throwing literally everybody with a scholarship played on defense. You really don't have an excuse if you're on that side of the ball. And if you're on offense and you still haven't been able to get in after all the injuries, after them trying to find people, I don't want to hear the coach don't like me, bruh. I'm through with that. Because I mean what I say. Moving forward, come spring ball, Tran, I don't want to hear about, he was recruited by Tom Herman or he was recruited by the previous staff. Whoever is here come spring ball, those are Steve Sarkisian guys. Period. That's how you got to reset this thing. If you're here, you're here. Moving forward. And yeah, we are having the moving forward. It's like, yeah, we want to win the football games. But we're also trying to your point earlier, we're trying to gather some data here and figure out what's going on for next year. We got a tough slate next year, man. Got UTSA, the mighty UTSA
undefeated
Roadrunners.
Undefeated.
Got Bama.
Alabama coming into town.
Yo, schedule ain't no joke next year. I ain't got time to mess around with y'all. Yeah, I ain't about to mess up my recruiting. Because they've been able to hold on to recruiting okay. All the nonsense going on. I haven't heard they may be out on some top guys. And I know people were sharing the Harold Perkins laughing video at the Kansas game. Y'all do with that information what you will. But overall, Texas should end up okay. At least at the floor, they should be okay with what they get for 2022. Transfer portal people outstanding. So all I'm trying to do is just try to weed some of these other guys out, or be honest with some of these dudes if you're Sark, right? It's like, hey, I know you were giving me good effort, and we do like you, but you just aren't schematically and what we want to do. You're just not going to be a fit here, bro. Move on. Like another school will take you. There's other dudes like that, right? Keontae's playing over at USC. He's doing a great job. It just made sense. He wasn't going to play over Bijan at that point. It just made sense for him to move on and get a fresh start. There's some people on this team who I like, who I think it'd be beneficial for them to leave and get a fresh start. I'm not even trying to hate on. I'm not even grouping them into the negative energy category. So there's going to be a lot of that happening in the course of the offseason, Tran. Um, predictions for Saturday.
I'll let you go first.
Ooh, curveball. All right. I'm going to go West Virginia 34-23. I think we're outmanned on offense. I love Roshan Johnson. I love the leadership he brings. The brother's banged up. That's going to be a tough ask for him. I think he's actually going to. I think Roshan's going to have actually a really good game despite all that, and I think he'll help us also in the pass game. Roshan's very underrated, catching the ball in the backfield, some of those routes, so forth. When I say we're outmanned, until we use Keelan Robinson, I got to see it. Now we understand that he was on contact tracing, I believe, with Daniel Young. So I wasn't even aware that brother was still with us, and they got caught up. So um, the whole running back situation, light. I don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to go, and then you really have Moochie and Xavier Worthy, who's banged up. So now I really got to rely on my tight ends. I love what Marcus Washington's doing, but we're going to be putting a lot on Casey's shoulders. And this is a good opportunity for Casey Thompson, like I said, to show something. But defensively, I mean, I think I think he's gonna have another day. And I think we're gonna get into a situation like we've seen over and over and over again, especially without our best player, where we fall behind and can't overcome it. So I have West Virginia winning this game 34-23, and Texas going to 4-7. So the six straight loss.
I agree with everything you said. However, I'm going to pick Texas. And it's only one simple reason why is because they love playing with my heart. So I feel like I have a feeling that we'll actually show out this game, but we'll lose. We'll lose on Friday. Honestly, I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout on either side. I'm going to say 27-24 Texas.
Cool. Well, y'all let us know in the comments what your prediction is.
But I agree 100% with what you said on everything, and I just have a feeling that they're going to make me have to question myself on going to the game on Friday.
Oh, that's coming. That's coming. I will be curious to see, and I hate saying this, what our attendance will be, especially for senior day, which is sad in itself.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose this game and they're eliminated from bowls, what the attendance will be after Thanksgiving, very curious. That's something I hope they come back and they're 5-6 and find to get back to 500. I hope that's the case. But what I'm more interested in seeing is what data they get for next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm and Sark and the staff, if you read between the lines, that's kind of what they're thinking as well, I believe, with how they're talking. But he's saying all the right things. So we'll see. Guys, remember to hit up busr.com/fanatic, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. We have the Sports 100 FP bonus or promo, I should say, 100% free play. Within 24 hours of signing up, make sure you get your deposit in so they can match it and you get your free play bonus money. No better opportunity to use it than this weekend. Big fight. Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter, hosted on Top Rank. It's going to be a huge bout. You also have Cowboys Chiefs. We're going to have some Cowboys Chiefs content coming this week. So a lot of big sporting events to take advantage of. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think Cowboys are plus 2.5. Very intrigued on putting some money on my boys this weekend as they righted the ship against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. So really, really excited about that. One other thing I wanted to just mention, and it was really difficult getting through this video today. Um, Buddy of mine from back home in Maryland, and was a high school football teammate of mine, and was I was a very very mediocre, below average high school quarterback. He was actually a receiver I had the honor of throwing to, and I believe pretty much every touchdown pass I threw in high school was to this guy Nick Oates, and got the news today that he passed this morning, and it's just been a really rough year overall. Many of you guys know about my mom and all that type of stuff, but starting hearing about other people back home, people that are young. We're the same age. We're both 33, and just to hear that the brother passed this morning, and I talked to my brother today, who was just in shock, and my brother's back home, and Nick, my buddy Nick, he actually lost his brother back in June, so their family is really going through it right now, and just weighing on my heart. And I say all that because this is somebody who I hadn't really talked to in the last few years, right? But you don't ever lose those bonds when you're in the locker room, and those teammates that you're really, really close with, those guys you used to ride home with, or, his mom would give me a ride, or my aunt would give him a ride home, and just all those memories, right? So I'm sure many of you have stories of a teammate that you were very close with at some point in your life. And it truly is a brotherhood in that locker room and outside of life. So rest in peace, Nick Oates. Prayers to his family, our whole Springbrook football community, the Towson football community. He was a football player over at Towson University, and he will be missed. So just wanted to end the video on that note, as it's heavy on my heart. Guys, thank y'all for viewing. Tran, thank you as always for coming through, brother. I love the hat. Tell Christy, great job on the selection choice. And remember, horn is always up.